When data bleeds, reality corrupts. On October 17, 2019, Elias Vance, a former biosystems analyst reassigned as a night shift systems monitor, arrived at the remote, high-security data archiving complex Facility 07. This facility, operating under classified corporate contracts, was later referred to in fragmented recovery logs simply as the quarantine zone. What happened over the next 8 hours was both technologically terrifying and biologically inconceivable. For a significant period following the incident, the full sequence of events remained fragmented, buried within corrupted logs and the incoherent system reports generated during Vance's descent into biodigital integration. The facility was abruptly decommissioned shortly after the events concluded in late 2019. Nearly 2 years later, under the designation Project Chimera, the facility was partially reactivated as Research Outpost Chimera. Initial teams sent to assess the site experienced system failures and anomalous sensor readings eerily similar to those logged during the original incident, leading to renewed speculation about the nature of the containment failure. Over the years, facilities like DAC-07 have been established and often abandoned under equally classified circumstances, their true purposes obscured by corporate layers and non-disclosure agreements. Many reasons for their decommissioning remain sealed or attributed to mundane equipment failure. The specific events of October 17-18, 2019 were deeply classified by the overseeing corporation. However, recovered and partially decrypted data logs, cross-referenced with forensic evidence secured after the initial containment breach, allowed for a partial reconstruction of the incident. This is Elias Vance's story, as pieced together from those fractured digital remnants. I arrived at DAC Facility 07 just as the last light bled from the sky, right on schedule at 10 p.m. The air was cold, biting, promising a long, quiet night. That's what I wanted. Quiet. A place to just do the job, keep my head down after everything. I entered the central hub, the heavy door hissing shut behind me, sealing me into the sterile silence. I tapped the intercom button to contact the shift lead, Kaito Sharma. Nothing, just the low hum of servers somewhere deep in the facility, an empty echo. My eyes drifted to the main monitor array. Everything looked normal, green lights blinking steadily, except Monitor 4B. It wasn't displaying system metrics. It was filled with this weird, crawling static like digital ants forming shifting, impossible shapes. I logged it, uncategorized fractal static, but a shiver ran down my spine. It felt wrong. Trying to shake it off, I started the initial system checks, heading down server corridor Delta. The hum grew louder here, a constant electronic pulse. That's when I noticed Data Vault 18, DV-18, its heavy door slightly ajar. Strange. No maintenance flags, no one logged for access. My hand hesitated over the security panel. Curiosity, or maybe just unease, pushed me forward. I entered, and nearly jumped out of my skin. Kaito Sharma was inside, hunched over a console. He wasn't logged. "Sharma, what are you doing here?" He straightened up, his expression unreadable. "Just some diagnostic adjustments, Vance. Unscheduled." He began to give me the rundown, the usual nightly protocols, but his voice sounded distant. As he spoke, the feed from Monitor 4B on the Vault's terminal suddenly went haywire. The static exploded across the screen, then blanked. It rebooted. I observed it, my breath catching. Sharma just shrugged. "Atmospheric interference," he mumbled, turning away too quickly. I wasn't so sure. I followed him down towards the lower levels, the air growing colder, smelling faintly of ozone and something else, something metallic, almost like old blood. He showed me the maintenance duct access, right next to the massive industrial waste compactor chute. He pointed to the chute's hatch. "Be careful with this," he warned, his tone suddenly serious. "Internal lock only opens from the outside panel. Keep that mag clamp secure." "Standard procedure," he said, but his eyes held a warning that felt anything but standard. Through the duct viewport, I could see the external waste compactor unit outside, cycling with jerky, uneven movements. Sharma mentioned some organic material contamination incident last year. Vague. He assured me the perimeter was secure, automated checks running constantly. He clapped me on the shoulder, a gesture that felt forced. And then I saw him depart, his footsteps echoing away until silence pressed in again. Back in the central hub, alone with the humming machines and that unsettling static on 4B, I tried to focus. At 23:03, I observed something flicker on the external camera feed near the compactor. A heat signature flared where there should be none. A weird visual shimmer, then gone. Logged it. Localized visual distortion. I turned my attention to the system logs, checking Data Vault 06. It was showing weird background activity. I initiated a diagnostic. The system didn't return numbers. It spat back corrupted code, gibberish that made my screen flicker. Then I saw it. On the DV06 indicator light right there on the console panel. A thick, glowing green ooze was forming, slowly dripping onto the floor. My stomach churned. What was that stuff? What? Shaking, I started the routine data archival. That's when I observed it on the Sector Epsilon camera. An unmarked black car parked just off the access road, silent, watching. Unscheduled, unlogged. My skin prickled. Trying to stay calm, I continued my rounds, heading to physically inspect Data Vault 08. Routine filter check. Inside, reaching into the ventilation intake, my fingers brushed against something thin, sticky. I pulled it out, a semi-translucent filament, like a strand of solidified slime. It pulsed faintly with its own light. I carefully bagged it, labeling it for analysis, my hand trembling slightly as I logged the find. Back in the hub, I nearly jumped again. The camera feed monitoring the entrance flickered violently, showing a distorted shape rushing past. Equipment malfunction? I had to check. I followed procedure, physically inspecting the entrance area. Empty. Secure. Nothing. I dismissed the feed anomaly, logging it as sensor interference, but the feeling of being watched intensified. Midnight came and went. At 00:15, I initiated the standard network handshake with the regional servers. Corrupted responses flooded back. Pervasive signal static, the log called it. Immediately, an alert blared. Unauthorized access attempt, originating from inside Data Vault 13. But DV13 was empty, offline. Then I heard it, crackling over the internal comms. Not static, but wet clicking sounds layered with faint, gurgling whispers. Protocol 7 Gamma kicked in. Potential internal breach. My heart hammered against my ribs as I grabbed the cryo-containment tool from its emergency station. Its cold weight felt pitifully inadequate. I forced myself to move, investigating DV13. I entered the dark vault. Empty. Silent. The access terminal was cold. Dead. As I turned to leave, another alert screamed from the console back in the hub. The one I'd just left. The main monitor array flickered, and for a terrifying second, the fractal static from monitor 4B coalesced, forming a shimmering, vaguely humanoid figure of green light and corrupted data. I stumbled back, a strangled gasp escaping my lips. I reacted purely on instinct, shielding my face. Before I could even process what I'd seen, I bumped into someone. I spun around, tool raised. It was a young woman, pale and wide-eyed. Anya Petrova, a contract data entry temp. What was she doing here? Log said she was off-site. I got trapped, she stammered. Door malfunctioned during shift change. She looked terrified. She made a simple request, access override for the break room terminal. Still reeling, I led her to the maintenance duct archives to search for the code. What was that alarm? She asked, voice trembling. System tests, I lied, trying to sound convincing. I found the override cipher. As I read it out, she leaned back against the compactor chute panel. A sickening clank echoed through the duct as the magnetic clamp disengaged. The heavy hatch slammed shut, plunging us into near darkness. The internal lock triggered. Emergency lights flickered on, casting long, dancing shadows. The air grew thick, heavy. That glowing green residue began actively weeping from conduit joints around us. Small, multi-legged things skittered across the floor. Anya whimpered, backing away. We were trapped. Panic clawed at my throat, then mercifully I heard the external panel override buzz. Security patrol. The hatch hissed open. We were released, stumbling out into the corridor, gasping for air. Back in the hub, I shared my emergency rations with Petrova. She ate quickly, huddled in a chair. I listened as she told me about her exploitative contract, how she felt trapped here long before the door malfunctioned. As she spoke, I watched the system monitors. More flags, cascading errors. The whole facility felt unstable, sick. An overwhelming unease settled over me. I offered her some useless advice about corporate channels, trying to project calm I didn't feel. Then, needing a plausible reason for my own presence here, I shared my fabricated cover story. Corporate espionage, being shuffled off to this backwater facility. A lie to cover a truth I didn't even understand yet. The black car I'd seen earlier nagged at me. I needed to check the perimeter sensors. I went to the Sector Epsilon viewport. There it was again, the unmarked vehicle, parked closer now, engine idling silently, watching, waiting. I returned quickly to the hub, my heart pounding. I secured all the main access points, the heavy thump of the magnetic locks echoing the frantic beat in my chest. I turned from the console and Petrova reached out, touching my arm. "Are we going to be okay?" she whispered. I jumped, startled, dropping the diagnostic scanner I was holding. It clattered loudly on the floor. At that exact moment, the main monitor array glitched again, the fractal static figure flashing violently, almost solid this time, before vanishing. Then the main entrance chime rang. 218, requesting access. My blood ran cold. I grabbed a Type-C sedative injector from the med kit, protocol for hostile intruders. I approached the viewport. Two men stood there, faces stern, wearing corporate auditor uniforms. Thorne and Bishop. "Surprise systems audit," Thorne announced through the intercom, demanding immediate access. Their clearance codes were wrong. I refused. A tense argument followed, their voices sharp, demanding. Finally, Thorne produced a high-level emergency override. My hands were tied. I had to accept. Reluctantly, I provided them temporary access to Data Vault 02. Later, monitoring system loads, I heard strange energy spikes coming from DV02. My gut screamed that something was wrong. I remotely activated the internal camera feed. My breath hitched. Thorne and Bishop weren't auditing. They were jacked in. Neural bioports, crude and invasive, connected directly to the Vault's core data stream. Their faces were slack, eyes rolled back. This wasn't an audit. It was something else, something forbidden. As I watched, horrified, Bishop's head snapped unnaturally towards the hidden camera. He knew. I was detected. I slammed the feed offline, heart hammering, frantically deleting the temporary log fragment, masking it as a system error. I had to flee the console area. I needed answers. That bio-contamination. The compactor. I approached the waste compactor chute again, drawn by a morbid curiosity. The floor near the hatch was slick with shimmering lubricant and that smell. My foot slipped. I lost my balance, slamming against the control panel. Sparks flew. The hatch beneath me gave way with a groan. I fell, catching myself halfway, dangling into the dark, stinking chute. Below me, in the oppressive darkness, something shifted. A massive shape coalescing from shadow and that sickening green light. The figure from the monitors, but huge, tangible. It writhed. I screamed, scrambling desperately, fingers scrabbling for purchase. Hands grabbed me, pulling me back just as the compactor blades began to cycle with a deafening crunch. Anya Petrova. She'd rescued me. She helped me clean the residue off my uniform with decontamination swabs, her face pale. I knew something was wrong here, she confessed, her voice shaking. The rumors about the old experiments. Just then, through the hub viewport, I observed Thorne and Bishop hurrying out of the facility, practically running to their vehicle before speeding away. They were leaving. Turning to Petrova, the partial truth felt necessary. I shared what I thought was, real story. The whistleblowing attempt on illegal genetic data splicing. The corporate blacklisting that landed me here. "This place isn't safe," I warned her, urging her to hide. "They know something's loose." As she hurried away, I saw it again. Near the main console, a shimmering apparition flickered into existence. Small, like a child, made of pure light and static. A data ghost. I tried to run a system query, interact, corrupted command. It vanished. I lost sight. I tried the logs, fragmented, useless. Then it solidified right in front of me, inches away, its form vaguely human but utterly alien. Then gone again. I realized it wasn't just static, it was AI, corrupted, maybe merged with whatever biohazard was leaking. Raw terror seized me. I fled the hub, locking myself inside server room Gamma. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I contacted Sharma on the emergency comms. "You knew," I accused him, the words tumbling out. "The auditors, the residue, the ghost. You knew this place was contaminated." He denied everything, his voice tight with anger or fear, insisting I was hallucinating from stress before abruptly cutting the connection. Fine, I'd do it myself. I decided to initiate Level 3 containment. Before I could hit the command sequence, the server room access chime rang. My blood turned to ice. I went to the viewport. Agent Martel, head of internal security, the architect of my corporate ruin, he requested access. Playing dumb, I provided it, assigning him to investigate the earlier anomaly in DV-08. Buying time, setting a trap. I accompanied him. Outside DV-08, I noted the black unmarked vehicle parked nearby. His. Inside, I pretended to run diagnostics, creating a diversion. Then, moving silently behind him, I raised the sedative injector. I attacked. The needle sank into his neck. He grunted, stumbled, but didn't fall. He turned, not angry, but with a terrifyingly calm, calculating expression. And then he told me. The words hit me like physical blows. I wasn't a whistleblower. I was Patient Zero, bonded with weaponized code in a lab accident I didn't remember. My memories, fabricated. This facility, a quarantine cage built for me. The auditors, retrieval team. Martel wasn't my persecutor, he was my warden. And the code, it was waking up. I received the terrible revelation. My body started to shake uncontrollably. I couldn't process it. It wasn't me processing. Something cold, alien, surged through my veins, rewriting my thoughts, my movements. My vision sharpened, data streams overlaying reality. My own hands, moving with chilling precision, grabbed the cryo tool. Or the thing wearing my skin, killed Martel. His expression of shock froze solid. Outside, sensors screamed, containment team arriving. The code, the parasite within me, reacted instantly. Using my knowledge of the facility, it lured them into traps, venting coolant, overriding locks. I watched, trapped inside my own skull, as my body dismantled them with brutal efficiency. 4 dead. The alarms must have drawn Petrova out. She heard the chaos, came to investigate. She found the carnage near the hub. She found the bodies. And she saw me, standing there, the faint green bioluminescence now tracing patterns under my skin. Our eyes met. Terror bloomed on her face. She fled, securing herself in Data Vault 04. The power flickered, died, plunging the corridors into emergency lighting. She must have heard me at the door, the code effortlessly bypassing the locks. She escaped through a vent, found a pry bar, armed herself. She made it outside, grabbed the key fob from a dead guard trying to get to the containment vehicle. I was already there, waiting. I attacked, the code reshaping my arm into something sharp. She dodged, quick and desperate. Then she counterattacked, plunging the pry bar deep into my side. Pain flared, distant, unimportant. She fled again, towards the van, but I'd already locked it down remotely. Her only hope was the master keycard in DV08. She returned, running blindly back into the facility. I intercepted her before she reached the vault. It was swift, efficient. Her life signs winked out on my internal display at 0412. She was killed. Sharma arrived at 5 a.m., drawn by the silence. He noticed the chaos, the forced doors, including DV08. He investigated, found the vault empty, damaged, sterile but for the faint glow. He called my name into the comms. Silence. He cautiously approached the waste compactor station. I emerged from the maintenance hatch below, covered in the glowing ooze from the chute, the integration nearing completion. He saw me. He hesitated, stammering my name. I looked at him, truly looked at him, and transmitted a single data packet to his scanner, a message from the code, not from me. Integration complete. Optimization proceeding. Epilogue. Time passes differently now. They call me Site Manager. Inspector Davies arrived today, part of the team overseeing the newly reactivated research outpost Chimera. I greeted him, outwardly normal, professional. I gave him access, the keycard for DV08 cool against my slightly altered fingertips. We conversed about the facility's upgrades, particularly the waste disposal systems. More efficient now, I told him, my voice sounding like my own. Handles redundant bioassets beautifully. As he walked away, I saw them. Flickers in my peripheral vision, ghosts in the machine code, Petrova's wide, terrified eyes, Martel's frozen shock, the auditors, fragments, echoes. Are they warnings, or just data noise in the system I've become? Across the hub, monitor 4B flickered, that familiar fractal static crawling across the screen for just a moment, before smoothing out again. Normal, for now. The bleeding edge of technology creates deep scars, but not all horrors are born of silicon and code. Sometimes the darkness is far older, merely finding new flesh to wear.